Hey everyone, my name's Claire with Seeking Refuge, and today we're going to be going over a few key terms that help us understand the refugee crisis a little better. The first term is a refugee. A person who qualifies as a refugee is someone who is exiled and must flee their home country for reasons such as conflict or persecution. A migrant is actually different than this. It's a person who has fled their country for reasons beyond conflict and persecution. One of the reasons being gang violence, it could be domestic and sexual violence, as well as poverty and climate. These are things that aren't controlled by the state. An immigrant is different than both of these in that an immigrant is someone who travels to a country to take up permanent residence. The main difference here is that it's by choice and it's to create a better life rather than at risk of persecution or harm if they return to their home country. Now, who qualifies as a returnee? This is a person who has returned home after being displaced from their home country, and a stateless person is someone who does not have the nationality of any country at all. If someone has been internally displaced, this means that they are seeking safety in other parts of their country. These are referred to as IDPs, and they meet the same criteria of fleeing for reasons of persecution and conflict, but they've not crossed the international border, so they're not technically a refugee. When people are relocating, there are different ways in which they can do that. One of the ways being seeking asylum. This means that they're seeking international protection from conflict and persecution, and it can be the same as a refugee or for a broader cause, such as what's mentioned with gang violence or state violence. Asylum seekers are fleeing for reasons of persecution as well, but have not formally registered as refugees before arriving at the country of asylum. This may be because there's nowhere set up by the UNHCR to process these people on their way, or because when they were visiting another country, they realized they could not return home, or any situation similar to that. When asylum seekers' claim is approved, they become a refugee legally. Asylum can be confused with resettlement. Resettlement refers to the transfer of refugees from a secondary country to another state that has agreed to permit them permanent residence. Beyond resettlement, there are two ways that a refugee is integrated into, they can seek asylum. Local integration is when a refugee is integrated into a country they fled to immediately after they crossed the border. This would be referred to as their secondary country resettlement. And repatriation is returning to one's country of origin. Refugee camps are not considered a durable solution, but there are many all over the world, and they're in some of the biggest areas of crisis. During this process, the person may receive a voucher, and this is where they have a negotiable certificate that can be renewed as needed. And if they have a stipend, this is a sum of money that they can use and can be renewed on a regular basis. This usually covers living expenses. That's all I have today. This is Claire with Seeking Refuge.